Last weekend's sideline collision that left CeeDee Lamb sprawled on the turf and on the receiving end of a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty quickly became one of those preseason moments that blew up on social media. The follow-up was almost as interesting. The NFL announced it will not fine Lamb, even though league policy typically penalizes players for any contact with an official. That decision raises questions about how the league balances the letter of the rule with real-world context, how teams and players are expected to manage sideline safety, and what consistency should look like in discipline. Let's start with what happened and why it matters. Lamb was in street clothes on the Cowboys sideline, not in pads, celebrating a play when an official, running downfield to track the play, collided with him from behind. The on-field official flagged Lamb for unsportsmanlike conduct, a 15-yard penalty, which is standard when a non-participant interferes with the play or makes physical contact in a way that affects the game. From the tape, the official appeared to be the one barreling along with his head down. Lamb was stationary and had his arm raised in celebration when the contact occurred. That visual symmetry, player celebrating, ref running full speed into the sideline position, is central to the argument that this was an accident, not an intentional shove. Rules and precedent matter here. The NFL's rulebook is unambiguous in protecting game officials. Physical contact with an official can lead to fines, ejections, and even suspensions. Historically, even incidental contact can be judged harshly to preserve the integrity and safety of officiating crews. But the league's discipline apparatus also accepts context. Not all contact is equal. There's a difference between a deliberate grab or shove aimed at an official and a freak collision where both parties bear responsibility. The league has discretion, and in this case, it appears they used it. The fined and flagged but not fined outcome suggests the league concluded the contact was incidental, perhaps primarily the official's fault, and that the 15-yard penalty was sufficient deterrence in real time. Why the NFL might be lenient here is easy to understand. Officials run sideline lanes and have the right to use them to keep pace with live plays. Players and staff on the sideline are expected to remain aware of the flow of the game, but they also have a reasonable expectation of personal safety and that officials will manage their own movement. When the video makes it look like the official collided with a relatively stationary player, penalizing the player further with a $1,000 fine would look punitive and tone-deaf. From a public relations standpoint, the league likely weighed optics. Finding a star who was visibly knocked down could ignite headlines about heavy-handedness, especially in an era where player safety and fair treatment are scrutinized. That said, consistency is the counterweight to leniency. The NFL needs to avoid creating an appearance of favoritism or ad hoc enforcement. If the league lets high-profile players off the hook in borderline incidents, it risks accusations of double standards. To minimize that risk, the league should do two things. One, be transparent about the rationale, even if only to teams and officials, for why a fine wasn't imposed. And two, apply the same context-driven reasoning across comparable cases. The disciplinary system must be both firm and fair. There's also a practical safety-oriented takeaway. Sideline safety protocols need continual reinforcement for both players and officials. Officials have to be trained and coached on how to navigate sideline areas without endangering anyone. That includes scanning the area when approaching the sideline, using established lanes designed to keep them clear of players and personnel, and communicating when a collision is possible. Likewise, teams should brief players, starters, and sideline personnel alike about staying aware of active traffic zones, especially during the preseason when veterans are sitting out and rosters are large and chaotic. Preventing contact is a shared responsibility. The Cowboys coaching staff fell on the side of internal accountability. Their post-game comments emphasized that Lamb should know better about sideline awareness. That's a reasonable stance from a team preparedness perspective, but the public reaction made it clear many viewers felt Lamb was the victim of a preventable officiating error. Either way, it highlights a broader cultural point in pro sports. Accountability works best when it's mutual. Players should be mindful of their surroundings. Officials should be careful not to run into them. Finally, there's an enforcement lesson for the league. The NFL should use this moment to reiterate sideline conduct rules while also publishing clearer guidance on how incidental contact will be handled. If fans and teams can see a consistent framework, one that explicitly acknowledges accidental collisions and outlines the thresholds for fines and suspensions, it will reduce controversy and improve buy-in. The league's credibility rises when it combines clear rules with context-sensitive application. In short, the no fine decision is defensible given the video and the apparent mechanics of the collision, but it puts a spotlight on consistency and safety. The ideal follow-up is straightforward: tighter sideline protocols for officials, continued reminders to players about situational awareness, and clearer league communication about disciplinary standards. So the next time something similar happens, everyone understands why a decision was made and trusts it. Quick take: the league waiving off a fine for CeeDee Lamb was a small but telling decision. It keeps the incident from blowing up into a bigger discipline story, but it also exposes how much the NFL relies on context and discretion when enforcing rules about contact with officials. Why a penalty but no fine makes sense. The on-field 15-yard, unsportsmanlike conduct flag was automatic and appropriate. Contact with an official is a clear rules violation, and the penalty enforces the immediate game integrity/safety point. The league's fine schedule exists to deter reckless or intentional contact, but fines aren't automatic every time an official is hit. Here, Lamb was in street clothes on the sideline and appeared to be celebrating. The official was running full speed down the sideline with his head turned to follow play. Refs and players both share space in a chaotic moment. When video shows clear lack of malicious intent and the player was the one who got hurt in the collision, the league often exercises leniency. What the league likely weighed: intent, no evidence. Lamb was trying to strike the official. Outcome: the official appeared okay and the contact wasn't a retaliatory or violent act. Circumstance: Lamb wasn't in the flow of play, he was celebrating, and the ref was moving at speed up the sideline, reducing predictability. Precedent and optics: the NFL must balance deterrence with fairness. Finding a high-profile star for what looks like an accidental collision could feel heavy-handed if replay shows minimal culpability. Broader implications: player behavior isn't suddenly excused. Teams will still drill sideline awareness. Coaches will remind stars that celebrations near the boundary carry risk. Officiating mechanics may be re-examined. Crews practice sideline paths. Leagues and officiating crews could tweak positioning or communication to reduce collisions, e.g., refs vocalizing paths, working straighter lines off the play. Consistency remains a challenge. Fans and media compare incidents and expect predictable discipline. Discretionary decisions feed narratives of inconsistency. The league will likely cite video context when explaining a non-fine if questions persist. What this means for Lamb and the Cowboys reputation-wise: this is a non-event. Lamb laughing it off on the sideline and the league declining to fine him will diffuse most criticism. The Cowboys will still reinforce sideline discipline, partly to avoid penalties that can swing field position. Practically, the team loses nothing